welcome into another episode of Off the Leash. I am Ashley Holder. That is Mark Schwab and OBR's Fred Greetham. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, the Browns taking on the New England Patriots, and it was definitely not the way that Browns fans would have liked to see the game go. The Patriots take this one 32-13. Man, we have so much to talk about when it comes to this game. We know Myles Garrett had 5 sacks, which we'll get into a little bit later. It pretty much meant nothing. Patriots were able to go on a tangent and score 14 points in less than 3 minutes. This game was all over the place, but one thing that remained true was that the Browns offense
still offensive.
Can't score the ball.
Still offensive. The most surprising thing for me is that this was a game for a half, right? I mean, it was a legitimately good football game for a half, and the Browns, of course, go right down the field and score on their opening drive, and you're like, wow, they look like a functioning offense. It helped that they left Fannin wide open. And then, of course, it was a bunch of 3-and-outs and 4-and-outs and turnovers and slop after that. But for one half, it was a football game, Fred.
Very similar to the Steelers game. 9-3 there, and they abandoned the run today. They thought they could, keep running. Wasn't going anywhere. But what gets me is I know coaches make adjustments. Opening drive, 6 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. 3 of the 4 longest plays in the game for them on offense on the first drive, and you didn't see anything like that the rest of the game. Do you just say, well, that worked, can't try that again? So it's really frustrating to watch because the defense kept the Patriots out of the end zone 3 times in the first half, and then the Browns, deferred, got the ball to start the second half, 3-and-out. What good did that do? And so, yeah, very frustrating. You take Myles Garrett out of it, no other highlights, really.
He was fun. That's about it. He's a little spicy on the sideline, too. It's funny, the Twitterverse, because is it still Twitter? It's X. I'm sorry.
I still call it Twitter.
It'll be Twitter forever.
I still call it Twitter.
Everyone exploded like, hey, dude, I know you're mad, but we're all mad, and you make $40 million a year, and you knew what you were signing up for when you came here.
Softens the blow.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, if I lost that much, I wouldn't be too mad with $40 million. But he did speak after the game. Let's hear a little bit about what he had to say.
I want to win. I don't care how much time is on the clock. They got their starters in. There's a chance we can win. I want to be a part of that. I don't care how dire the situation looks. I'm want to try to make something happen. So I hate coming out of those situations. I hate that kind of inevitability and not being able to do anything about it because I want to win and I'll do anything.
I know you're going to say how hard is it, how tough it is for you guys with such good defense for you out there getting 5 sacks and putting the team on your back and just not have any offense to go with it.
It doesn't get any easier each week you ask me, so.
How do you feel about your performance now? Does the loss diminish how you feel about your performance today at all, I guess?
I would throw the whole performance away for a win.
How much did they give much help? What did you see from them? I mean, obviously 5 sacks. I mean, you were very successful. But what did you see? I mean, what were they throwing at you in terms of blocks, double teams, chips, that sort of thing?
They gave me more one-on-ones than some other teams, and I think we also created that by moving me around, putting me in different positions, and trying to just be unpredictable with my location on the field, and it worked out. There were still different looks that they gave us, different kind of chips and all that, but find a way to get free and make plays for the team.
Well, is there anything that you can do as a team as you guys head into this 5-week to see if there are any kind of changes or improvements that can be made in any way as you guys come out of the 5-week?
Don't quit. Keep your head up. Hold everyone's feet to the fire, even my own. Try to find something, some kind of remedy for this and how we can improve. They're not going to put the red dot on anybody, without putting it on myself and how I can be better and what more I can do for my team, and just going to continue to get different people's opinions and ideas and how we can turn the tide right now.
All right, so Myles Garrett 5 sacks on Drake May today. I mean, sets a new franchise record. That's just amazing, right? And 3 of those come in the first half alone, which is just incredible. I mean, the man is insane. But at the same time, this was the same person that was complaining about wanting to win. He wanted to win. He wanted to be traded. He wanted to go somewhere else. And then they're like, here's that moolah. Now he's like, oh, all right. Like, that's cool. We can do whatever. So my thing is this, like, I don't really understand. I understand because any athlete wants to win. I truly do understand that point. But my thing is this. There wasn't a plan that they sold you on so bad just because Flacco came back that you were like, whoa, man, we're about to go kill the AFC North now. I'm not buying that crap. No, it's the money. And that's okay if it's the money. Just say it. Just enjoy it.
They weren't going to trade him anyway, you know. Now, maybe they should have when you look back at it, what Dallas got for Micah Parsons or whatever. But, you know, he's a Hall of Fame player, past Reggie White's the all-time, the youngest, you know, guy before 30 to break that record of Reggie White's. He's got 111, 112 sacks now. And, yeah, it's like they have a good defense. It's just the offense that's killing them.
I think this becomes a rinse-repeat type of discussion with this team when they get into these types of years, and you saw it play out in the press conference there. I think it was Mary Kay who asked him something about the frustration level when you're doing all you can and the defense and the offense just isn't. And he said, you ask me every week. It doesn't get any less frustrating. And that I don't mean that as like any shot against. That question needs to be asked. But this is the dance we do as we watch this team when they go through these years, when they're lousy and can't score and they don't win a lot. And we've seen a lot of these years. You start asking every single week about questions like frustration and quarterbacks and things like that because this is who they are, this is what they do, and it turns into the same talking point. There's no drama here. There's no magic pill that's going to come in and change things. This is week 8, right? Week 8, the season is 18 weeks. We have 10 more weeks of this. This is who they are. They might get the occasional win. They got the Jets coming up, and the Jets somehow beat the Bengals today. They'll get their occasional wins like they did against Miami. But for the most part, they're a bad offense with a good defense. They don't score. They're stuck in mud. They're boring to watch. And we just have to sit here and to pretend like this conversation might change. And what we're going to do is eventually get to the point where we're talking about quarterbacks in the draft.
But that is what you have said almost every week.
Am I wrong? We start talking about the draft by
totally
Halloween.
Right.
We're coming up on Halloween. Guess what? They're 2-6. We're at the bye.
The crazy thing is you're talking about they're boring to watch, and I hate to say this, but, you know, it was like the beginning of the fourth quarter, and I was like, dang, there's not 2 minutes left. The game's not about to wrap.
No.
I just thought, I was like, gosh, I can't even. It was so hard to just stay locked in on the game and what was going on.
If I look back on stuff I wrote last year, year before, you know, year after year, it's just the same thing, just with different names.
Yep.
I'll go, wow, I was writing the same thing, you know, like 4 years ago or whenever, other than the playoff years. It just seems, and what's so frustrating, you brought in Kevin Stefanski, an offensive guy, and the offense is by far the worst. It's like it was last year when I gave them a pass saying, okay, they tried to turn it all around Deshaun, and it was a failure. So let's go back to what he's good at, what they showed they could be good at, and it's been worse than what it was under Watson in that offense last year. So I don't know what the excuse is. I already heard him say the same thing. We'll get it fixed. We got to get better. You know, I've heard that every week.
Classic
and
line.
You can only write that quote in there so many times. So it's very frustrating. The defense got wore down, but they still got gashed. 177 yards on the run. Our friend Travion Henderson looked very good today.
And Drake May, I mean, he was taking off. I mean, he got some big runs. I mean, his longest was 28.
Well, they were getting 6 yards or better a carry on run, and you know Browns have been good on running defense, but it was kind of like Mike Vrabel and Jim Schwartz, and Vrabel took it to him today. Browns were held, you know, under their average, and they gave up almost double their average.
I think people forget that the Browns faced the Miami Dolphins last week, one of the worst teams in the league.
And they won.
The Browns are also one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah,
it was two bad teams going against each other. So the Patriots are actually a good team.
Good team.
With a good playoff chance. So I don't know if like maybe people forgot that.
No, I think I talked about this a lot this week on the news shows and on these types of shows that we do. That I thought they really had a chance to change the conversation, find a way to steal this win. They did steal one against New England, or against Green Bay, and they nearly stole a couple. Find a way to steal this one, and then get to 3-5 with 3 of your next 4 against bad teams. And then we're talking about, wow, could the Browns actually get out of this hole and maybe get to 500? But you had to do it today, right? Find a way to win today, and they were in the game for the half. But you're right. Why do people – because you see that last week, and I know they stink, but you saw it. You saw a tangible thing that at one moment in time they weren't bad. Find a way to do that again so we can actually shift the dialogue and talk about the rest of the season. And instead, they make it a game for the first half, and then they go out and they just get their brains beat in.
Well, to your point, the AFC North is so topsy-turvy. A win today, you're 3-5, and you're a game and a half out of first, assuming the Steelers lose to the Packers tonight. They might find a way, and they might win. But this division is so down of this year, you just felt like, okay, like you said, you got some meaningful games. You have a couple games early in the season. We talked about that 6-game gauntlet that you really could have won 2 of those games. And you're right at the top of the division, even though you're not playing very well. And so that's what's frustrating. You look at the division leader of the Steelers with 4 wins, and you have 2. So it's not like somebody's running away with this thing.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit later in the show about, looking ahead and exactly what this AFC North looks like, considering they are not a strong division right now. Mark, you brought up something interesting that we're going to talk about right after the break, and it's how much drama is already going on when you look at the Cleveland Browns, and that's at quarterback. That's coming up right after this break.
All right, Off the Leash continues. Browns 32-13 losers to New England. True-false question of the week, folks. We do it every week. It's a yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down proposition. And this is going to sound like a Shedeur Sanders question. It is not. Keep in mind, it's about the quarterback position. There are 4 in play. We have Dylan Gabriel. We do have Shedeur. I know he's got the back, but he's going to be at some point he'll be back. Bailey Zappi is around, and at some point, the guy you talked about earlier in the year, Deshaun Watson, may be available. So in the universe of quarterbacks for the Cleveland Browns, there are 4 guys we're talking about. True or false, Dylan Gabriel gives this team the best chance to win.
You know what? I'm gonna let you take that one first. You go ahead, Fred.
Haven't seen the other guy in the regular season. Seen the other guy in the regular. I'd say right now, a weak yes.
A weak yes, but he's gonna go yes. So you say true.
Yeah, I meant true.
Ash is entirely undecided.
Let me. You said Dylan Gabriel gives the Browns
the best chance to win at quarterback in their universe of quarterbacks, which is Gabriel, Watson, Sanders, and Bailey Zappi.
Not gonna like this one. People are not gonna like this one. I'm gonna say a weak yes too as well. I like the weak yes, and that's only because again we haven't seen Shedeur, right. But I am all in favor of seeing Shedeur and seeing what he can do, especially if we have another game that's 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, whatever, or the offense is not producing. Because I don't think there's nothing wrong with just throwing him in there, seeing what he can do. I'm not saying you got to start him. I'm not going to say you have to just because he plays you have to sit Dylan. Why does it have to be just one guy? This team is used to using 50 million quarterbacks in one game.
They've only played 8 so far. Don't worry, there's plenty of time.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They don't have to set on one. Why can't it be, okay, if we're not producing anything in these first 2 quarters, why can't we use Shedeur in that second half? Or possibly, if fine, Bailey Zappi at the same time. But, I mean, you got the – you can't just throw emergency quarterback in there, right? You got to decide who's going to be active or whatever. And I don't know where Deshaun is. It doesn't seem like they want to play Deshaun. I don't know what's going on, so I don't know if that's an option. But I don't see why you can't play both Shedeur and Dylan at this point if you're not getting anything out of the offense. You really have nothing to lose.
I agree, and I've been saying this for a long time, especially with the Browns. You watch baseball, you have a starting pitcher, he gets jacked, you pull him out. You put in a relief guy. Next time he's up, he pitches again. Why can't you ever relief if a guy doesn't have it? I said that with Watson last year, but Kevin will not change him. Same thing here. If Gabriel you want to start, You got other options to throw him in and a different look, just kind of mix things up. But what does it hurt? You're 2-6. You're coming out of the bye. You're pretty much the only lifeline is the division is down. If the Ravens, they won today, but if they can't turn it around quick and the Steelers start losing, then you got to look that you're in the mix and you play to win. But why not turn it over to somebody else, especially Shedeur? At this point, I need to see him more. He's the only play left as far as I'm concerned on this season. There's not much else so far to look at. So that's something you do. Yeah. But I think you do that. Maybe the next home game is the Ravens. I don't think you want to do that. You did that to DTR. The next home game, might be the Titans or somebody like that. You want him to practice all week as a starter and turn it in. And that's kind of what I think they're looking at.
Let me ask you this. You feel that if they use Shedeur, that you were just talking about practice all that week as a starter, what if he doesn't, though? Does it have to be a scenario where he starts the game? Can it not just be where he goes in a second quarter, whatever it might be, if it's that type of Ravens game? Because I feel like, first of all, the cinematics with just the Titans, and could you imagine that? Just Shedeur starting and then the Titans and going up against Cam. Like,
oh my gosh!
The drama around. We're talking about drama. I'm
just
saying the semantics around that.
I've said this before. I really think they want him to be successful and they want to see him. But the best chance for him to be successful, I would think, would be at home, and after he's practiced all week as the starter. We've already heard he's not getting reps really with the first team. So to throw him into a game unprepared, I think they would rather Gabriel finish the game out as opposed to throw him in the middle. And I just think somewhere in one of these they have 5 out of 7 upcoming home games. Somewhere in there is where he'll get a start. That's just what I think.
The schedule coming up is at New York, home to the Ravens, at Vegas, home to the Niners. Now, that's no day at the beach, although they got beat today pretty bad by Houston. And then you get the Titans game. So Tennessee still 5 games away, 6 weeks if you're counting the bye. And I don't know if we'll get 6 more weeks out of Dylan Gabriel. I honestly, I went back and forth on this question, true, false. At first I was going to say false. I guess I'll say true. I think but it's by a razor-thin margin. I mean, Bailey Zappi has played in this league. He led New England to at least one victory. I remember there was a big thing in the locker room
with the Browns.
Yeah, and with the Browns. I think Bailey Zappi's a fine backup quarterback. I don't know if Dylan Gabriel is a fine meaning average, fine meaning okay, not like fine. You know what I mean? I think he's an okay backup quarterback. But, yeah, I'll say Dylan Gabriel. I'll stick with true, but it is by a razor-thin margin because – the other thing is, we've already seen this now, not to belabor the Flacco point, but he wasn't any good here, and he went down, and they lost to the Jets today. He wasn't the problem. They scored 38 points. So it feels like the problems here are not just quarterback-centric.
When you lose like this, you have to look at everything. Every position, everything I'm doing, there's just it's frustrating for where we are as a team. So every position you have to look at. But let me say that with a young quarterback, you understand that there's going to be ups and downs.
Kevin, I understand you're going with everything, but do you feel like this wide receiving group is good enough for you to get an accurate evaluation of whoever plays quarterback for this team?
Yes. Yeah, we need to do a better job. I need to do a better job. Obviously, Jerry needs to get the football, but we have to do a better job. Yeah, variety of reasons, but it doesn't matter. We got to get him the ball. Yes, it does. But I just want to make the point that we just have to be better in every area, and we'll look at everything we do, including, how we're putting these guys in position to succeed. Are we doing enough? When I say looking at every position, are we doing enough with the quarterback position? Do we need to do a better job? And I know the answer is yes.
You say you look at everything. Is Myles Garrett an exception to that?
Yeah, listen, it's a team game. We'll win as a team, lose as a team.
What do you think happened after the first drive? 45 yards over the next 6 drives.
Yeah, obviously, credit to them. They did a good job. We have to find a way to stay on the football field, stay out of third down. If we are into third down, we have to convert.
Going to be testing on quick on shoulder as well. Is there something you're short term?
Well, I'll have more information tomorrow, Chris, but I'm hopeful that he'll be okay. Yeah, I think he'll be okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of different things that we can look at. Obviously, with our defensive front, there's teams attack us in certain ways, and that's always been the case, really, in this defense. And we have ways to combat it. And obviously, there's going to be times when they you have to give them credit, but there's things that we can do.
All right. So he was talking about, first of all, Judkins. We didn't even get to that. He dinged his shoulder a little bit, but coach seems like he'll be okay. They ask you about your guy Judy. Two targets, no catches. We got to do better getting him the ball.
I was totally waiting to be able to address that. I thought that was so funny. It was like, yeah, we got to get the ball to Judy more. Yeah, let me look at his stats real quick.
2 targets, no catches.
Zero.
Wide
Zero.
receivers.
2 targets.
Totally with 2 catches today, and that was Jamari Thrash, who had both of them. That's it from your wide receivers. Your tight ends had 10 of them.
Here's your targets to receivers. All right, Thrash to 3. Thrash had 3. Judy had 2, so that's 5. Isaiah Bond, 4.
A drop.
That's it. So they had 9 targets to receivers. Bond had the drop. He was open, and that's a play. Dylan Gabriel. It seemed like he took him forever to get the ball to Bond when he was open. I would love to see the all 22 of that, because you don't always know. Well, wait, was he back turned and chasing around by when Bond's running open? You want to get the full field perspective, but Isaiah Bond was wide open, and it took him forever to get him the ball. And it took him so long to get him the ball that the defense ran the guy down and knocked him. Something was wrong on that play with the delivery of the football. That shouldn't happen. He was wide open. It's ridiculous.
Mark, there has been something wrong with the delivery on the football.
But guys usually aren't that open.
Game.
Like normally, when they screw it up, somebody might have a step or two. Okay, there was no one within like 10 yards of that dude.
Yeah.
Until there was, because it took him a half hour to get him the ball.
I mean, I think it's incredible how many times Stefanski can say, we got to be better. He'll be better. We're going to be better. I'll be better. She'll be better.
At this point, he's got to be playing a drinking game with somebody, right? He's got to have it where somebody
that could be it.
It was an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
She knew that when she said something, the guys would drink, so she just kept saying it over and over and over again. There's got to be someone out there doing, come on now.
We might have to ask him about that. But look, we are coming up towards the end of the show, so we've still got to talk about what the Browns have looking forward for the rest of the season. Maybe we could talk about some of the wins they could potentially get or the ones they may not. We'll be right back after this. All right, so the Browns' schedule coming up, we got the bye week. I think that's a good time for them at this point. This team needs to reset. They need to – I'm sure all of them are just getting off of the flight from New England. Yeah, that is the positive. They will not lose. That is the positive. And don't worry, we will still be back here off the leash next week as well. But when they come off of the bye week, they will have on November 9th at the Jets. Jets just pulled off a crazy win against the Bengals, which is – wow, okay. And then they'll have at home against Baltimore, on the road, Las Vegas. They're not playing very well either. San Francisco at home, Tennessee at home, Chicago on the road, Buffalo at home, Pittsburgh at home, and Cincinnati on the road. That rounds out the rest of the remainder of the season. What are y'all thoughts quickly, guys?
I mean, win next week. The Jets were winless until this afternoon, so now they're 1-7. Go beat them. Just figure it out. Go beat them.
Yeah, you need to beat the Jets, and that's what I said. They have winnable games. I felt like 4 of the 6, now 4 of the next 5 are winnable games. I didn't really think the Patriots – I thought they could win, but I didn't think they would. So they have to turn something around, find something to do it. Today they let a missed field goal derail them. They gave up 27 points in a row after that missed field goal.
That was ridiculous.
Was able to score 14 points in 3 minutes. That is insane, and – I don't. We could say that's on the offense. Could say it's on the defense. It's obviously a little bit of both. Looking at the AFC North, you were just talking about this, Fred. Steelers 4-2, Bengals 3-4, Browns 2-5, Ravens 1-5. I mean, the crazy thing is if you get one or two of those teams to lose one or two, they pick up two. I mean, this is a whole totally different, division standing at this point. That is the crazy thing. That is bad as the Browns are, they still have a chance. It's amazing.
Well, that's the thing. You have to. You lost in the division the first three. You're 0-3. Your only path is to win the division, and you have to beat those teams when you play them again and hope things turn the other way, but you got to play better on offense.
All right, we will be back here next week. Make sure you tune into the next episode of Off the Leash. Wherever you get your podcast, make sure you like, you subscribe, you tell a friend, you tell your mama, your daddy, everybody to check out this podcast. Again, we will all be back here, including Leah Doherty, next week. That is another episode of Off the Leash. We'll talk to you later.